Today I got an issue with the Dead Storm Pirates arcade cabinet. See if I can show you the issues we're having. I'm going to go to the gun test menu, and I've got my see it in the center, or coming up in the center of the screen. That is my player number 1 crosshairs. I'm going to push it all the way, and I've got the gun all the way. See that the crosshairs just keep walking across. I've narrowed it down. I believe it's a bad potentiometer. We're going to go ahead and work on swapping that out today. I'm going to power down the machine and get you set up to watch how we get all this extracted and repaired. Alright, so I need to remove some screws out of here. I've got 2 here that are T27s, and I've got 2 on this side that are T25s, and 2 more on the opposite side over here that are T25s. We're going to pull those out so we can get this plate off, and we can disconnect the main gun harness underneath this bottom plate. I'm going to use the T25. Now I have some more T27s that I got to remove here. I've got 4 of them. One in the back here and one over here. We're going to take them. We got to remove this whole gun setup. Going to disconnect the harness from underneath. Got a little tab I can't quite get. Now I have some side ones, torque bits to remove here. Should be T27s as well. We're just going to lift up to extract it. Watch all your cables. Now we can take it into a better area to work on it. Now that we've got it in the room where we can work on it better, first thing we have to do is remove our flange bolts. They're located here. I got 2 on this side and I got 2 on the opposite side. I've got a 10mm socket. We're going to extract those. too well. They are located right up under the lid here. Pull this out of its box. And gun on the side where we can work on it better. We'll go ahead and disconnect this terminal here. Wanted to move you in a little closer to see better. We've got 2 Phillips screws here we need to extract. Break them free. Feels like they got a type of thread locker on them. Supposed to be a black dot on this potentiometer gear, lined up centered with this Allen set screw. I'm not seeing it on there though. I'm going to take a permanent marker and just make one of my own. Try and line up exactly where that Allen set head screw is coming across the other side. It lines up that tooth right there. Probably won't be able to see it. There, yeah, you can see it. I just drew a black dot on it. It correlates and lines up with the Allen set screw on the inside center there. It's got a metric number 2. I'm going to take this Allen set screw out of this gear wheel. Slide it right off. I need to get this potentiometer out of here to replace it with the new one that I've got, that I have right here. And this is the left to right potentiometer. It's not the up and down, don't get them mixed up. Your up and down only has a 60-degree of coverage, and your left to right, I believe, has like about 280 degrees to cover the screen. Just take this out. There's a nut on there. I'm extracting it. We're going to drop the potentiometer down and out, and I'll just place the new one in. If I look, this one came with a lock nut washer and everything as well, so gotta take it off. So now put it in at the bottom. There's a hole to line up. There's a pin, positioning pin on the side of the potentiometer. Make sure that's lined back up with the hole. Wi-Fi things weren't working right. I've just got to get this terminal back onto here. And I'm sure these are all soldered. Let's take a look. Couldn't be lucky enough to just get terminals that push on. Yeah, as I assume, they are soldered on there. So I'm going to cut these off, and I'll bring you back when it's time to solder. Shouldn't be much. I'm cutting the heat shrink tubing off. Going to get these cleared out, bring my soldering iron in here, and I'll probably heat those up and just pull each terminal off individually. I have the digital soldering station all hooked up and heated up. I already disconnected the other one, and I made sure to label my old one so I wouldn't lose track of which wires went where, and I just transferred the labels down to the new one. I've got some heat shrink tubing. I'm going to go ahead and cut it into about thirds, I'd say. Just to protect the terminals, we'll go ahead and slide it over top of each one. And we'll just start with the red. Just bring it through the hole and fold it over. Now I was concerned about a little bit of extra heat getting up in this potentiometer, so I've got some heat sinks to connect here. Try and draw some of the heat out of it. Put a little hole in this thing here. Put a little hole in there. I just like to have my solder just go ahead and come out, feed out through the bottle. I'll just pull out what I need. Alright, let's reconnect this red one. Try heating from the bottom. Made sure to put plenty on there. See if I can hook onto this blue one. Maybe hook on it vertically. And run the blue one through first, and then connect it up. Now the blue and the white wire, sorry. That's why it wasn't working. Sometimes when things don't work for you, it's because you're doing the wrong thing. Just pay attention. So the white wire, it's got to go in the middle. Feed it up, and we'll just fold it over. Kind of hard to fold it with that solder in there. See if I can convince this to fold over without cutting it. There we go. Probably touch it and it'll melt some of that solder right down in. Oop. Heat sink. Before we get going here. not too warm, so it's not transferring a lot of heat. And we'll go with the last one. Try and bend it over here. Go. Should be set back up. Try something. Set this down low. Never tried this before. I'm just seeing if I can use the soldering iron to heat up this tube enough to get it to shrink. Looks like it's working. Just passing it and keeping it moving fast so it doesn't actually just melt right into it or burn into it like that. Anyways, worked fairly well. Try sliding another one up. Sure normally use something like a torch to heat it with, but trying to do what I can with what I have. So we're going with the heat of the soldering iron. And the final red one. All in all, I'd say that was a great way to shrink that heat shrink tubing. Thought I'd kick the heat up. I shut off the heat right before I started trying to shrink the heat tubing, and I think by the time the soldering iron cooled down to the lower setting, it just wasn't really performing as well as it did on the first two. So I turned the heat back up just so I can get this secured down where I feel it's proper. Alright, so I'm going. Alright, now we got the potentiometer all soldered back and the heat shrink tubing done on it. We need to go ahead and put the gear drive wheel back on it. I got the flat spot here on the potentiometer, and that's going to correlate with the Allen set screw. So I'll put it right on there. It's go ahead and tighten it back down. So we're all set up. Now that I have the potentiometer all put back together and everything soldered, we're going to go ahead and install it back into the housing. I've got the timing mark here, and there wasn't one on this gear rack, so I just went ahead and put a mark in the center of it. You can barely see it in the image there, that black mark with a marker. I'm going to try and align those. It doesn't say you have to do that. I'm just choosing to do it because I want to work with the center of it and everything. So it says for the most part in the manual that you can adjust that whenever you go to calibrate the gun back with the game. But I would just like to have it the way I want it. So we'll go ahead and get our screws back in. Place the other one. And it should make sure when you attach the wires that you get them so that they're not going to get caught in any of the gear works. Alright, should be time to drop it back into the main housing. Pay attention to the orientation of the way the box is designed, so that in this side is where that bumper goes. It's located right here on the gun itself, so it'd have to face out that way. Let's go ahead and lower it in. Place the 4 bolts. Alright, time to take it back and reinstall it into the machine itself. Watch as you drop it in that you don't pinch this harness cable. You want to feed it in. And I did make sure that these wires here that connect to the potentiometer are not going to get in the gearworks. Go ahead and get some of these bolts started. putting in the two side ones that locked it in. Go ahead and connect this terminal back together. Pay attention, your plate is an odd shape. Remember which direction it goes on to be installed. Then like a tight fit to try and keep drinks and sodas out. And then we'll have to calibrate this afterwards. And I'm going to do the IO test. Gun test. Let's see. Full gun. Service switch, full gun calibrate. One player shoot the left hand. Oh yeah, that's it now. Alright, so everything's good. All set up. Should work fine.